You motherfucking tube. Yo, I was gonna make a video yesterday, but I was hoarse. Went down to the fights in Detroit for the Showtime event. And, I don't even know why we do this, sitting in the seats, yelling at the fighters in the ring like they can really hear us. And even if they could make out what the fuck we were saying. But, of course, me, screaming to the top of my lungs, jab that nigga, do this, do that. But overall, this past weekend was just a good ass weekend of boxing, at least for me. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a very intriguing matchup between Lamont Peterson and Kendall Holt. I think that was, in my eyes, it's one of those fights where Peterson should win, but it was a guy that wouldn't surprise you if he was to come out victorious in Holt. But it was a stay busy fight, a fight that he needed to do, you know what I mean? And I think that some guys missed the boat, A guy like Kaynan Bundrage. He probably should have took a couple other fights other than Isha Smith, but, he's 39 years old, maybe that's the difference. But overall, I think it was a good fight as far as the two fighters and where they are in their careers. I think the actual fight was pretty good. I think that Lamont Peterson showed me a little more than I actually expected, and I'm very anxious to see what he does in the ring next. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again. Showtime event. It was cool. I was a little leery about how the event was gonna turn out, especially after the Alexander and Brooke fight, fell through or whatever. And next thing you know, we got in the main event, Kaynan Bundrage and Isha Smith. But what I actually didn't know was Jay Leon Love was from around here. I've always heard him talked about being from Las Vegas or in Las Vegas or whatever the case. But I didn't know that he was, born here in Detroit, or right outside of Detroit. But you know how that shit go, right? And the thing is, it was a pretty nice event. It was pretty fucking packed. I ran into my boy Frank Garza down there. I met Adrian Broner and Ronnie Shields, and a whole bunch of the fucking guys that I used to work with as far as in the production side of it. I used to work at a spot where I actually used to know and run into those guys all the time and work with a lot of those guys. So it was a good night. It was a good ass night, Had a couple of good drinks. Had some really good beer before I went. And by the time I left, I was feeling pretty damn good. It was, just an overall good weekend of boxing, y'all. I want to touch on the Jay Leon Love fight. Let me touch on one thing real quick before I even move on, because I know I've said this before, and I just wanted to reiterate this. I am not a fan of using the term robbery in boxing, because this is like the third time that I've been able to do this, where I can go to a fight, come home, and watch the shit recorded on Showtime or HBO, whatever the case may be. And each and every time, it never fails. What you see when you're there live, it's different when you get back home and watch that shit on TV. It is, every single time. For example, when Timothy Bradley and Devin Alexander fought, when I was there at the event, that shit was equivocal to, like, the way I seen it there. It was like two basketball teams, and Tim Bradley's team won the first quarter like 40-1, and the next quarter was like 35-2, and the third quarter was 35-2 again, and the fourth quarter was 25-10. So like basically it seemed like a super duper major blowout. And then when I got home and watched it on TV, it was a lot closer, even though I still thought Bradley won. I mean, one or two punches could have easily changed 3, 4, 5 of the rounds, at least from what I seen on TV, as opposed to what I seen when I was there actually live at the event. Same thing here. When I was watching the fight live, I thought that the fight with Smith and Bundrich could have easily been a draw. You know, it seemed like a good fight, a close fight. And, you know, when I got to the crib and I started watching videos and people kept talking about how boring the fight was pretty entertaining to me. It's live. When I got home and I watched it, Ishaq Smith, he kind of pulled away. So when people say robberies, you know, when it came to Bradley in his last fight, or Carlos Molina and who the fuck was it? James Kirkland or Tavares Cloud. If you're not watching the fights at those angles that the judges are watching the fights from, it's different. And even like Jay Leon Love, the fight with him and Finley, I thought Love got his ass whooped when we were there. The crowd booed like a motherfucker when they heard the decision. And of course he had a lot of fans there, so they gonna drown out. And, you know, he could have been knocked down 10 times and fucking got the decision and niggas would have cheered. But, you know, when I was there live, it looked like he got his ass whooped. When I watched it on TV, it was a lot closer, you know. And some judges had it completely the opposite just for Jay Leon Love. So it's such a, subjective sport, man. You know, there is no clear-cut way to score a fight. And in that sense, it's probably the beauty of boxing, because whether you think that, you know, LeBron James is the best basketball player or he has the best skill set, whatever the case may be, you can't deny when he puts the ball in the hoop. And that's 10 points, 1 from the free throw line and 3 from behind the arc. No matter how he does it, if his jump shot is ugly, if he shoots too many or he shoots too less. At the end of the day, when you tally up his points, his rebounds and assists, block shots and steals, they are absolute. And another thing, what is absolute is the final score and how many times that ball was put in the bucket. There is no discrepancy in whether a shot actually made it or not, or whether the shot was actually a three-pointer or not. You know what I'm saying? There's no discrepancy in that, you know? If the official timekeepers give him a 3, then that's what it is. You know, we can argue whether it was a 3 or not all day long, but officially it was ruled as a 3. In boxing, there are no foul shots or three-point shots and shit like that, so it's subjectively left up to the person watching to decide whether that punch was a three-pointer or a free throw, you know, whether the fucking shot made it, landed or not, you know. So it's just so subjective, you know. It's just hard to always, it's hard to argue anything as being a robbery, you know. But overall, it was a good fight, man. And I met a lot of people that, you know, I hadn't met before. I met, you know, like Sam Watson and, you know, Adrian Broner. A couple more people. You know, just a little bit of everybody. I seen my man Marlon Thomas. And hopefully if Boxing Beats and Rounds watches this, there was a video he was doing And he mentioned Marlon Thomas, and I remember he couldn't remember his name. So when I seen him, I told him that I got his number for you, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? You can give him a call. I told him he should be expecting to hear from you, do an interview with you soon. So when I get with you, man, I'm going to give you his number, whatnot. Met John Banks there, and, you know, me and him kicked it for a bit. Anthony Durrell was there. I mean, it was just a fucking good night, man. At least for me, you know. I'm a fucking hardcore boxing fan, of course. And this weekend rejuvenated my love for boxing. You know what I'm saying? It was more pure, straight to the fucking root type boxing. Not a lot of political bullshit going on. And, you know what I'm saying? Outside of Mayweather promotions for the final 2 bouts of the night on Saturday, you didn't hear a whole bunch of promotional shit. And, you know what I mean? It was just good old-fashioned boxing, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just don't know how good that shit felt at the end of Saturday night, you know? It was a good fight night, weekend. Big ups to Lamont Peterson, and I would love to see him fight Matisse. I would love to see Jose Alushigin back in there again. I mean, he took a tough loss against Matisse, and he shouldn't be shitted on for the L he took against Matisse. And another thing about boxing is this, and I know this is another point that I've always reiterated in my videos, but in order to have a star, any sport, I don't give a fuck what sport, all sports, the most healthy thing for any sport is a good rivalry. So when LeBron first went to Miami, they wanted that LA-Miami series so fucking bad, because the rivalry would have been good for basketball. Red Sox, Yankees, always good for baseball, always. Michigan, Ohio State football, Duke, North Carolina basketball. No matter what, you just gonna pay attention to it. Lakers, Celtics, you just gonna pay attention to it. Holyfield, Tyson, you know what I'm saying? And just this past 5 years, Pacquiao, Mayweather, that argument has driven the sport and driven those two guys to a level that without the other guy, they would not have been able to reach. And as much as people may say, oh, well, he didn't need him, or vice versa, he did. Both of them. Because, for one, with Pacquiao, all of the fights that he had meant much more because most of the guys that he fought had already fought Floyd Mayweather. The reason that the fights that Pacquiao were fighting were so big because Floyd Mayweather had fought most of those guys already. And it kept his name relevant even when he was fucking sidelined, you know what I mean, taking time off, vacationing, enjoying his family, gambling, shitting on hoes, throwing money, whatever he was doing. Manny Pacquiao helped keep his name relevant in boxing without doing a fucking thing. And even though the two haven't fought, the rivalry actually has been good for the sport as a whole. I mean, I'm sure it would have done a lot better if they had fought, but you know what I mean? It did do some good for the sport, even though they didn't fight. With the current generation of fighters, the fucked up thing is we're in an age where all of the good potential rivalries are fights. They're as big of a bummer as it was for them two, Pacquiao and Mayweather, not to fight. It's more of a trend than an aberration now. You know what I'm saying? That's more likely to happen going forward in boxing for the recent future than it is to not happen. You know what I'm saying? Like how the fact that those two didn't fight was like a major abnormality in the sport of boxing, because that shit usually never happens. The motherfuckers at that level usually get it on. And now fights that are not even half as big but would be huge fights for these some particular fighters at this stage in their careers, because they will never probably get to a Mayweather level, but some of the biggest fights that they can fight will never happen. And it's not like one other fight, you know what I'm saying? We talking, you know what I'm saying? I could damn near count half a dozen mega fights right now that probably will never happen, you know? And it's just fucked up that kind of is the trend, more so than that shit having been an aberration, you know? Just I don't know, man. But this week definitely help revigorate my love for boxing. I guess I'm gonna end it here, man. I get it, y'all niggas, at the end of my crazy ass work week.